In their book, Living the Unlived Life, Robert A. Johnson and Jerry Ruhl share a story from the autobiography of Carl Jung. Carl Jung went through a period of uncertainty in his life after he parted ways with his professional colleague Freud. This uncertainty affected his attitude towards his patient. Since he was at a loss in developing new attitude, that he decided to submit himself to the impulse of the unconscious side of him. In the process, a forgotten childhood memory from his 10 or 11 years old surfaced from his unconscious self. Jung remembered that he had spent time playing passionately with building blocks. He built little houses and castles. To his surprise, this memory was accompanied by a good deal of emotions. He realized that the small boy in him was still around and possessed creative energy, which was lacking at this season of his life. Putting aside his embarrassment of playing this childish game, Jung began to play with building blocks to re-establish contact with the creative energy of the small boy in him. In between seeing his patients, Jung began accumulating stones by the lake shore and built small cottages, a castle, and eventually an entire village in the sand. Jung carried out this play every afternoon for some time. During this period of playing with building blocks, Jung discovered that his thoughts became clear. He produced numerous research papers. His playing with building blocks led to creative breakthroughs in numerous therapeutic techniques, such as sand tray therapy, dream analysis, and active imaginations. In Carl Jung's story, he used playing to reconnect with his hidden creative energy in him. Like everyone else, in the first half of life, Jung has suppressed the creative energy of that small boy in him. This small boy with his creative energy became his unlived life, hidden away in his unconsciousness. In this video, we will explore 3 questions. First, how do our unlived and hidden life form? Second, how do we discover the unlived or hidden life in us? Third, how do we live more energetically in the second half of life? Before I begin, please explore the like and subscribe button to release creative energy of this channel. Thank you. The first question is, how does our unlived or hidden life form? From birth, we take direction from the collective forces around us. These collective forces are our parents, society, and culture. These forces shape who we become and what is relegated to the unconscious area of our life. In the first half of life, under the influence of these collective forces, we make choices to please our parents or to survive in our social cultural environment, or both. For instance, Carl Jung most likely have chosen to stop playing with building blocks to spend his time in other activities to please his parents or to live up to the expectations of the society. In pursuing his career as a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and psychologist, Jung has selected to do things crucial to his pursuit and to give up things that hinder his pursuit, such as playing with building blocks. This pattern of selecting things crucial to our goals and giving up things that hinder us from achieving our goal is common to everyone in the first half of our lives. While this pattern is common to everyone, John and Ruhl highlight a crucial reality of this pattern. For everything you choose or that has been chosen for you, something else is unchosen. By selecting something, we give up on something else. This something else becomes the unchosen elements of our lives. Johnson and Ruhl share 2 scenarios of unchosen life. For example, a woman chose to pursue a challenging career. She may give up her desires for marriage and becoming a mother. This desire becomes her unchosen life, hidden in her unconsciousness. Later in life, she may realize that some unconscious part of her always longed to be a mother and homemaker. In the same way, a man has a poetic talent and an acumen for business deals. He chose to climb the corporate ladders of the business world. The poetic talent of this man becomes his unchosen life, hidden away from his consciousness. In the second half of his life, this unchosen life may stir up discontentment, persistent sadness, and drain his energy. In both examples, each of them live a split life. The choices that one makes belong to the lived life. The unchosen potential choices become the unlived life, also called the unconscious, hidden, and shadow life. This split life is unavoidable because no one can live out all of life possibilities. Thus, all of us have a lived and unlived life. Thankfully, not every unchosen choice will haunt us. However, some of our unchosen choices involve key aspects of our being, such as our passion for creativity, exploring, experimenting, and playing. In the second half of our life, when we find ourselves feeling restless, bored, or empty, despite a successful life, our key unchosen choices are seeking our attention and engagement. If we respond to our feeling of restlessness by rearranging our lived life, we will get some relief for a while until we settle down to a routine. The feeling of restlessness, boredom, or emptiness will return unless we engage with our unlived life. Engaging our unlived life means expanding our consciousness to embrace and reclaim some of our unchosen choices. For instance, in time of his uncertainty, Carl Jung looked to his unlived life, the unconscious and hidden life, for solution. Jung discovered and reclaimed his childhood's activity of playing with building blocks. Jung incorporated this activity into his adult consciousness when he set aside time every afternoon to play at the lake shore. Similarly, in the second half of life, which begins somewhere between 35 and 50, we may find ourselves disappointed or disillusioned with our lives, even though we are successful in the eyes of the world. We should consider exploring our unlived life to reclaim our hidden energy. This brings us to the second question. How do we discover the unlived or hidden life in us? We can set aside some time each day or week to answer the following questions that Johnson and Ruhl suggest. How would you title your life story? What have been the critical crossroads or turning points in your life? When and where have you experienced major losses and disappointments? What were some of the missed opportunities or paths not taken? What has been the nature of your friendship? Are you a good friend? Do you keep a balance of looking after yourself and others? Which talents and abilities have you not applied? I have listed these questions in the comment area of this video for reference. We do not have to spend a huge amount of time answering these questions. A better approach is to limit ourselves to 15 minutes daily to quietly and slowly answer all the questions over time. Like Carl Jung, we may find something in our hidden life that energizes us. Alternatively, Johnson and Ruhl have an unlived life inventory in the appendix of their book. The book also has other exercises to guide us to discover our unlived and hidden life. You can get a copy from Amazon or borrow a copy from your local library to do the inventory or exercises. I've made an overview video on living your unlived life. You can check out the link above. After discovering our unlived life, we can consciously tap into the energy of our hidden life for the second half of life. This brings us to the third question. How do we live more energetically in the second half of life? Since everyone has an unlived hidden life, Johnson and Ruhl identify a common struggle among people. This common struggle comes from two archetypes of human personality, the wise elder and the eternal youth. An archetype means a typical personality that fits everyone's profile. In the first half of life, we discipline ourselves to wake up in the morning, to go to school or work. We learn to live responsibly as civilized human beings, following a list of do's and don'ts, determined by our families and societies. If we want to be successful in our lives, we follow the rules and structures of society to live a courteous, polite, fair, efficient, and dutiful life. This pursuit instills the wise elder qualities in us. Having a wise elder personality means we prefer stability, order, control, discipline, practical structures, and system. While these wise elder qualities are necessary for living, this wise elder archetype can cause problems in our life. If our wise elder personality, under the weight of duties and responsibilities, squeeze out the eternal youth in us, we may become reactionary, defensive, and stiff. Our eternal youth archetype will not disappear, but become our unlived hidden life. What are the qualities of the eternal youth? The qualities of eternal youth are optimism, inspirational, creative, fun-loving, risk-taking, and light experimentations. These qualities are valuable for our lived life. Such qualities provide catalysts for change to outdated structures and solutions. On the other hand, our eternal youth can cause difficulties in our life. If we are dominated by the eternal youth personality, we may become irresponsible and unpredictable. People with eternal youth personality have difficulties bringing ideas, visions, and aspiration into concrete reality. Our eternal youth personality needs our wise elders to complement, not to fight each other. In the second half of life, Johnson and Ruhl argued that everyone must reconcile their wise elder and the eternal youth personalities to reach deepening maturity. Without the ongoing presence of the eternal youth, wise elders become rigid, dogmatic, judgmental, authoritarian, and perfectionist. Such a wise elder personality will never be satisfied regardless of achievements or success. Without the presence of the wise elders, eternal youths become immature, narcissistic, and childish. Such eternal youths will find their world falling apart due to the lack of boundaries. What is required for maturity in the second half of life is not regression to think like irresponsibility or more tiresome and dutiful obedience to social norms. Deepening maturity in the second half of life is the growing capacity to respond more flexibly, passionately, and powerfully to life challenges. Such maturity is self-creating and authentic, with the ability to synthesize the opposite of the wise elders and the eternal youth. If our personality is more like the eternal youth, we will release energy for living by connecting with our hidden wise elder within. Alternatively, if our personality is more like the wise elder, we will release creative energy by liaising with the eternal youth inside. How do we keep the two archetypes in balance to release unlived life energy? By adopting an attitude of play, we can connect with our unlived hidden life. The authors point out that the word recreation, which is activity done for enjoyment, reminds us of recreation. When we play for enjoyment and recreation, we are recreating. By exploring our unlived and hidden life, we adopt an attitude of play to respond to suggested playing by our unconscious self. To discover what our hidden life like to do, we can write a note to ask our unconscious self, what do you like to do? Afterward, we sleep with this question under our pillow for a while. Our unconscious self is likely to respond with a creative suggestion. Like Carl Jung, he played with building blocks as proposed by his memory. His playing with building blocks required discipline, spending time in the afternoon to play. Jung did not neglect his responsibilities as a doctor while he spent time playing. His play refreshed him with creative energy. Besides playing with blocks, our unconscious self may recommend different kinds of playing to us. Writing is a play. We may write journals, short stories, autobiography, and novels. Computer programming is a play. We may learn a programming language to write programs or applications. Painting and music are plays. Sports and outdoor activities draw upon our capacity to play. Cooking, baking, or food preparation are creative play. This list is unending, but we must be open to explore. In summary, if we want to deepen our maturity in the second half of life, we must connect with our hidden life, either the wise elder or the eternal youth, with an attitude of play. We will find refreshing energy for the second half of life when we discover what we like to do hidden away in our unlived life. When we participate in the play suggested by our unconscious self, we will have access to the energy of our unlived life. I will end this video with a brief story from Living Your Unlived Life. Dan is one of the clients of the author. He made a fortune in his business. He became a multi-millionaire in his 30s. Despite his material success, Dan was miserable, perpetually tense, and suffered from stomach ulcers. He was tired of looking after his investments. His relationship with his longtime girlfriend was deteriorating. Dan felt trapped by all the things that defined his life. After talking to the author for several sessions, Dan did not make any progress until one day after a session, he went for a walk along the beach in Southern California. He walked along the seashore near the world-famous Scripps Aquarium where seals like to gather. On that day, Dan found himself the only human sharing the beach with a very inquisitive seal. At first, they were wary of each other, but eventually they began to interact with one another. Dan played with the seal along the beach and swam playfully together. This interaction continued for 2 hours until they reluctantly agreed to part ways. This experience was transformative. At the next therapy session, Dan shared his experience with the seal. From this experience, Dan realized his true nature and decided to do whatever necessary to get out of his trap. Dan went on to sell away his business and work out the details of a separation from his girlfriend. He bought a 30-foot sailboat to spend his time sailing. Later, Dan accepted a job with a marine ecology institute. Certainly, not everyone can do what Dan did. The key point of this story is that Dan spent time playing when an unforeseen opportunity presented itself. His therapy with the seal helped him to rediscover his unlived life. Similarly, we too can discover our unlived life and the hidden energy inside us by playing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share the links with your friends. Subscribe to this channel for future updates. Thank you.